All right. It's Tribulation, day 67. And the world as we know it continues to spiral down into chaos and out of control. The big story dominating the news right now is the global economic meltdown. What's happening over in Europe with all the big government socialistic countries defaulting on their debts because they have unsustainable governmental systems in place. The United States being driven by our President Barack Obama towards that model, facing its own debt crisis. And of course, everything that's going on right now, from the Gang of Six and their BS to the Mitch McConnell plan, smoke and mirrors, to the Republicans who have probably the best plan, but it's not going to work either. We're headed towards a cliff that there's no brakes to stop from going over. That's the sad reality that we face this morning. If you turn on the news, especially the liberal media channels like MSNBC, you'll see all this like, oh, everything's going to be solved, Gang of Six, which is just a load of crap. And if you're watching Fox News, they spin it a slightly different way, but even the cut cap and balance in the long run isn't going to be a solution, so it's just a bunch of crap too. And the stock market has been going down, down, and down. Gold was going up. And after Obama came out yesterday and just put a bunch of false hope into the Gang of Six bullshit that's not going to work, the market jumped up 200 points, but some of the market reaction was based on Obama. There were some companies out there, specifically Apple computers, that posted huge profits. So on one hand, people would be like saying, oh, it's over, happy days are here again, if Apple's doing good, everything's good. But you know what? Everything's not good. The housing market's still in the toilet. There are no jobs. Hey, you know what? I used to work at Apple. I made a ton of money at Apple. More power to Apple. More power to Steve Jobs, man. Right on. I dig that guy. When Apple kicked him out of the company, I was always in his corner for 10 years. I took abuse because I was in Steve Jobs' corner. But Apple doing well is not a reflection on us doing well or the United States doing well. I don't work at Apple anymore, so you know what? I don't make any money when they make money. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. One of the reasons why they're making all that money, it's kind of like one and the same reason, but it's two reasons. One, they don't build anything here in the U.S. The only jobs from Apple are like in Cupertino. It's some engineering jobs and some sales and marketing jobs. But the vast majority of like regular jobs that regular people might have are overseas. They got factories over there in Hong Kong and Singapore. And even their sales. The reason why they got huge sales is not because of the U.S. It's because they're selling product in China. And that has nothing to do with us. It's not helping us one bit. So once again, news channels will be spinning it one way or the other, but it's all a bunch of BS. What's really happening is the world is headed towards a global economic meltdown. Then you throw in other natural disasters like this oppressive heat wave going across the United States, flooding, famine, huge, massive starvation in Africa, the Japan disaster, possible typhoon at Fukushima, and there's other disasters. Asia just had an earthquake, the whole Indonesia, that whole area over there. South America is having volcanoes and earthquakes. So, the whole world with the weather and the extreme weather and all those disasters. Another second sandstorm in Arizona. Just weird crap that just normally ain't even supposed to be happening. And then you throw in like war. The Middle East is still completely out of control. Israel is a boiling pot that's ready to boil over. All those dictators are still in power. America's still having a secret war in Libya, costing us billions of dollars, and you don't hear Obama saying one word about it. And now we're hearing that he's got some kind of CIA torture camps going in Yemen. Believe me, that whole thing's going to explode. World War III is right around the corner. Yeah, today it's all about doom and gloom. The silver lining, I could talk more doom and gloom. There's just a ton of it. And you just pull up the news. There's nothing good. But there are silver linings, like everybody personally, knowing that you're not alone, that there are those of us that are going to try and get you through this, myself included. I've got my Confront program. It's all about positivity, about standing up and actually doing something versus just talking about it, bloviating. And this morning I'm giving a shout out. On Facebook I got a lot of buddies, and you're welcome to comment to me, to my website, to my blog, and I will try and comment back. But one guy I like on Facebook is Lynn Vogel. He has a page, the SS Pitchfork. That's S period Pitchfork. I'm sure you can find it if you search for it. I'll put a link to it on the blog. But Lynn, he's a patriotic American guy. And you know what? There's millions of us that are patriots. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of us make is to immediately label people as not being patriots. I've been accused of not being a patriot. And you know what? Personally, I don't even care. Because I am whoever the hell I am. And with what we're going to go through in this tribulation, patriotism may be, or nationalism, who knows what that is. But you know what? My hat's off to Lynn, because I see him, mobilizing, and doing his thing. And that's going to be one of the dynamic forces. We've already seen people mobilizing in the Middle East, thousands of people protesting in the street. But there's also got to be a positive, and some of that's positive, some of it's negative. When it turns into violence and destruction and anarchy and stuff being destroyed and people being hurt, that's not good. And maybe mobilizing on a big scale can work for a positive. A lot of times it's negative. But there's another kind of mobilizing, which is just like they used to say, an army of one, it's a mob of one. And you don't worry about getting 1,000 people with you out in the street. You move as an individual to make a difference. And that's what Lynn Vogel is doing, in my opinion. And, what you do is when you mobilize as one, what I'm thinking is the dynamic will still work. 1,000 people running in the street could make some positive change, but it could also result in disaster. A mobilization of one could ultimately mobilize 1 million at some point down the road, because now you have their attention and they're like, we're with you, man. And they're listening to whatever it is you're trying to push or change. And that then gives you the power base to make a huge change as you mobilize. The key to mobilizing 1 million people for a positive outcome is to start by mobilizing one. And Lynn is doing that, man. He's got this crazy plan where he's going to get on a boat somewhere and hopefully draw the attention he needs to go from a mobilization of one to a mobilization of hopefully millions. So Lynn, if you see this post, man, I'm with you all the way. Then I will do what I can from my end, and I'm going to look for a way to mobilize as one here too. And we'll see what happens, man. But that's the positive side of trying to change, avert, or just make it through this tribulation that we're all headed towards, and hopefully to a brighter future, man, where we're thinking outside the box, and because the old ways are unsustainable, man, and they don't work. Both sides of the coin, left, right, whatever. I got into a little scuffle today with this other gal, but you know what? She knows who she is, but she's a patriot too, man, and God loves her, and God bless America. But she kind of whooped out the like, oh, you are not a patriot on me, and you know what? She got the beat down that she deserved. Anyway, I'm gonna sign on out. I'm gonna think positive. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna put the old head to it, see if I can do something to complement the SS Pitchfork, but I really like what he's doing there. So anyway, rock.